what's up, guys? We have another game with the white pieces. We are 11-25 now against RFR, who's 11-11. We start with the bishop. Bishop's opening. We're going to bring it out. We're going to close the chain. And then we're going to try to checkmate the guy. He goes knight to the side to defend f7. Very creative. I like creativity. I'm going to continue with what I was doing. Solidify my center. I'm not going to take unless I see a much better opportunity. Black goes here. Maybe he's threatening to expand. I don't really care. I just want to continue with my plan. What's my plan? Develop the knight. Okay, he's attacking my bishop. I'm going to move it back so I don't lose it. If you move it forward, you just give him more free tempi. So he develops his bishop. Logical continuation from what he just did. Eyes this diagonal. Fine. I'm going to continue with f4. If he checks me, maybe we have g3. And if he takes, we take with the bishop. Otherwise, we just bring our knight out next. So he defends the pawn within the center with f6 instead of the knight or a pawn here. Downside of this move, weakens your king big time because I'm attacking you on the light squares and you just made two new light square weaknesses. That can't be right. Of course, if you give this check now, black will probably put the pawn here. So right now, necessarily it doesn't work, but if we just push f5, we just gained one more light square attacker. And now if we give this check and he pushes, we can take with the pawn. If he takes back, we give this check. He blocks with the knight, that's mate, so he has to move his king. Check, king moves. I don't know, find mate there. So he develops his knight. Fine, it develops, but you were supposed to do this to defend the pawn. The other move, last move, not f6. So now it's too late, and now you're not addressing my light square threats. So now I get in this check. And that's game over. And these e4 games are going way quicker than those c4 games. c4 was like, okay, you slowly, positionally outgrind them. Even if they're terrible players, it takes you forever to win the game. Here, not the case. So he moves his king. He sees that the pawn will hang, the knight will hang. So he goes this route. Now the knight's defending this square. So let's see. If I took the knight and he recaptured and I gave this check, he's forced to go here. What do we have there? Well, if you do this check, he's going to just go back. That's repetition, right? So let's look for something else, right? So takes. We also have this check, let's say. His king has to go up. Does that change anything? Well, it looks like we need a dark square check at the end of the day. So let's say we go here first. He's still forced to go here, and we didn't give up our dark square bishop. I don't know. This kind of looks funny, though. He runs out. Is there really not a follow-up? That's the question. Check. He goes back. Wait, where does he go? No, I take this. He goes here. I give a check. He goes here. I give a check. He goes here. Then I give a check. He goes here. And we're in the same position. Why can't I checkmate this guy? Takes, here. Do I have a different move? There has to be another move. Let's say check here. Thing is, I'm not supported on c5. So I can't get it there. So annoying. I mean, he's obviously just losing, but I really wanted to checkmate him. I don't want to do like a positional a4, right? That'd be annoying. I'm not seeing it though. So I'm actually going to develop my bishop. That way, if he lets me get this check, that wouldn't work either. Either way, it's a good developing. It's the square my bishop belongs on. You know, it's the most active square. His knight looks dumb. He can never move it back. It's checkmate, so no reason to take it unless you have a checkmate sequence. So he just blocks my stuff, maybe gives his king another way, but I tricked him again. I put my bishop here, saying, oh, there's a check here, you better block it. He blocks it, but this, in all the lines I was just calculating, this was the square his king ran to as the escape square, and I didn't have a check on that square. But now if I take the knight, and he takes back, and I go here, it's, you know, epaulette's made or something, because he blocks his escape square. So yes, we did moved it here, but now here. And then boom, checkmate, they fall right into it. That's it, quick and easy game. Now we have Robinson's son. Again, we're going to do bishop's opening. Try to get fast games, fast checkmates. This is great. D3, protecting the center that he was just attacking, right? The pawn. And now he's developing quickly. Ready to castle. This guy's a beast. Okay. We're going to develop our knight. Maybe he wants... Okay, never mind. He opens up the center completely with d5. This opens up his bishop. Also, you know, just blows up the entire center. Threatens my bishop. The downside is the pawn is hanging. So he might have to have some tactic here. I'm not really sure because I don't play e4, e5 openings. But let's just try to figure it out on the spot. I think taking with the knight is most natural. Maybe he has a tactic, I'm not sure, but I don't see it, so... Well, this isn't a tactic. The knight defends backwards. So I think I could put a bishop here. Although, if he takes, and I take, and he takes, and I take, and he queen checks me, I could just block with the pawn. And if he puts the bishop here, I could just develop the knight to e2. So I think it's fine. And I'm threatening the bishop, so he doesn't have time to bring in more attackers. He has to address it. So he does. So he doesn't go for that line that I just calculated. Instead, he goes h5, defending his knight. I mean, I could just go h3 though, so I'm not really sure how that works for him or why that works for him. But, okay. I have other moves. I could develop my knight here, maybe even my queen here. If I develop my queen here, although that's fancy, kick the knight. I'm just going to kick the knight and control this square from his pieces. Oh, I forgot all about this. Now I can't play this. But it's fine. I'll just move my king. And because he has no development, luckily I don't have to worry. Because once queen f2 comes, I have queen e2, defending everything. And my position's better, and I'm up a pawn. Yeah, I mean, when you play h3, you should see this ahead of time. Luckily, I still have all this, but I totally forgot about the queen h4 because I have a goldfish's memory. So he develops a knight. There's no possible checks, so I know I always have time for knight in here with tempo. Again, he gives the check. I block with the queen. So bringing the queen in here is very noobish. It's a noob move because you have no other pieces helping. And my army looks beautiful, like everything's helping everything. And you just have a queen in your opponent's territory all by itself. Like, that's obviously can't work. And even if it does work and you can pick up like pawns or even a knight or something, if your opponent has such good development, like if my knight's here, my rooks are already here, like you may still lose the game. So anyway, he gets his queen out, so he just wasted a ton of time for no reason. And he protects this pawn one more time. I don't care. I'm going to bring my rook into the game and coordinate with my bishop on this square. And now I'm going to move my knight out of the way and take the pawn. I could also double stack first. That's a good idea. He moves his queen again. It undefends this pawn, but it defends this pawn one more time. So maybe he's switching what he's defending. That's fine. But now I can go to this square followed by this square, which looks like a really strong plan for me. It is on a really good square where if he takes, I'm happy to take a good bishop, and only bishop, and get a stronger pawn on doubling. He has no checks, and my position's good. And there's this threat, so there's black is lost. And you could see the huge difference in all of my c4 speedrun videos at this level and e4. e4 is so tactical and, you know, attack the king that it's so much easier to win the games faster. So anyway, he moves his queen, hits the knight. I'm going to give this check because it comes with tempo. He can't castle. And now I can move my knight next to multiple squares. Or maybe I have an even better move, like letting the knight hang. But I don't see a good way to get my queen in the game like here, so there's no reason to let it hang. We'll just bring it here where he could take it. But that would improve our rook with tempo. And then we would have a free double, so that would be bad. Our king is perfectly safe. And black is completely lost. Robinson's son is done. No more fun under the sun. Because I won. And he took, and I took with a tempo, and I'm threatening to double. Overwhelming position. Again, he cannot castle. And he might just resign. Although I say that every time and they never do, but okay. Okay, guy. I'm gonna take the queen. There we go. There we go. Okay, we'll play one more. No smoking, Neferford from Monaco. He opens with again, another one of the London setups. These guys love this stuff. Again, they protect with the C pawn, the same way the other guy did in the other video. If you take this, and he takes this, it's suspicious. Last time I just brought my queen out first. Maybe there's ideas of taking first. Weakening the long diagonal. Check. But I'm just going to stick with queen b6. and threaten the same thing I did the other game, see how he responds. What did the other guy do? He did, I think he just took. Oh no, he played e3 and let me take. I mean, maybe it's playable. I have no idea. He's stumped. He's stumped. Okay, so now he goes here. But I think when they do this, we are supposed to push c4. If he takes, you take here. But then he checkmates you. What am I missing? How does this go? If I push and he takes, do I have a different move? Knight develops. Something's weird about that. Something's very awkward about that. If I take and he takes with the pawn, then I take here and he has to take and he has double isolated pawns. That's good for me, right? Can't go wrong with double isolated pawns. That's my theory. And now I have like this square, this square. Maybe I should even start with this knight because it comes with a tempo. And he can't defend it with a piece. That means he has to move his bishop. He could take here, and take here though. So that's something to think about. So let me move this pawn first. That way he doesn't have that. It also comes with a tempo. And I'm headed here. So he protects everything. Again, if I go here, I'm threatening some checks. It's kind of annoying for him. Comes with a threat, so it's forcing move, not just a waste of time. And I will develop, but I mean, it's not like he's crushing me, right? I have two pieces out and he's white. Okay, he moves his rook, but that allows this check. King attacks my knight. My knight is trapped. Okay. I'm going to improve my other knight and protect my other knight. So I could take this bishop, and if he moves the bishop, my knight's defended. I can continue my development. I could even go for that check and maybe throw this one in here, but you don't want to set up a construction that's easy to like, where you just throw the game. Although you do have something like a5, so the knights are supported by a pawn. a5, b6, then it's a super solid construction. So you have options. Neferfur doesn't want to lose the bishop. I predicted wrong. I said you couldn't defend it with the piece. There is this, but that looks weird. So I didn't consider it. I mean, I could kick the rook. This, what does that actually accomplish? I don't think it accomplishes anything. If I take this and he goes in, I don't want to help him develop his piece, so I'm going to leave his knight looking stupid. I think I'm just going to get my bishops out, so let's do that. I guess this one's natural. It protects the knight another time, so now I can do whatever I want with this knight and not have to worry about this guy. Also, this is the diagonal I probably want. I don't want to undouble his pawns unless I can win something. Also, he's threatening kind of to coordinate with his bishop, so I think I want to stop that. Also, it stops his bishop from coming in. Also, it removes the attacker on my a7 pawn, so I can move my rook at some point. He takes my knight. I don't want to ruin my pawn structure. I might as well take with this knight. It also opens up this square for my bishop with tempo, which looks beautiful there. And now I have ideas of hitting the rook as well. Things are starting to come together for my position. I'm starting to consolidate and coordinate. I mean, you don't see it yet because everything's on my back rank, but these pieces are awkward. So even though he has 3, it's a little suspicious, really. I'm going to go here and fianchetto and have a beautiful bishop. This bishop's going to be here, beautiful bishop. And, okay, so we can start with this check, or we can play b5. Which forcing move? If I give it check and he moves his king, what was the point of not playing b5 there? If I play b5 and he gets a knight, he's threatening my rook. But if I take his bishop first, that was the only piece that was actually applying pressure to my position. B, he took with the pawn and not the knight. What the heck is that? C, now if I go b5, he has no bishop takes knight ideas. The thing is, if I go here now and he takes, and I take, my rook is hanging. Not ideal. So I'm going to develop. He could give me this check. I still can't take, but I'll block with my bishop. I don't care about the b5 fork anymore. His knight's here. It's not getting back in the game until 2 more moves. His pawns are destroyed. And so even though material is even, I should be able to... I shouldn't have much trouble winning an endgame, let's say. So now I just need to get my bishop out. That way it keeps his knight tied down. And then I get to put rooks here, and then just go after his weaknesses. So in chess, if your opponent's extremely solid, you have to come up with a plan, right? Like a short-term plan. But if your opponent has weaknesses, you don't need to come up with a plan. You can just attack the weaknesses. It's a free plan. You don't have to think. So here I don't have to come up with a pawn break or put my pieces here to support this pawn break or this. I don't have to think about any of that. Oh, he's got lots of weaknesses. Don't need a plan because my plan is attack the weaknesses. Attack the weak pawns. Some material's equal, but the game's not equal. This rook is terrible, right? It has to spend another tempo going back home. He'll have to waste another tempo to defend this pawn so he can move his knight. And then when he can move his knight, 2 more tempi, and then the 3rd tempi to get it to a good square. So he pushes this pawn. It threatens nothing. It weakens his king and wastes time. I could play a move like this, but I just want to get my pieces in the game as simply as possible. I don't want to make pawn moves. I want to play with my pieces. Let him keep pushing. I don't really care. So he moves the knight in and attacks 2 pawns. Hangs this one. I mean, it's a fine move, but it doesn't really do anything. I could probably just ignore him. However, if you do go f6, it hits the knight. All right. If he goes here and you go over, it's trapped. If he takes the pawn and you go over with your rook, it's trapped. So in light of this, I see no reason to let him take the f7 pawn. And the h7 pawn is protected by tactics, so now he just has to go back. He does get to go here, though, with tempo, which is a rerouting, but this square is covered now by the pawn. And this pawn would still be hanging, so it didn't really accomplish anything by what he's trying to do. And I think now he's realizing that this drops the knight. Never mind. So I'm just going to trap the knight. Or maybe he did see it and decide to take 2 pawns. I don't know. Either way, that's not a good trade for him. He's pushing the pawn that was hanging, but now he hangs a different pawn with check. Not sure how good that was for him, but I'm not going to take it with check. I'm going to take this pawn. Because if he opens up, I get to swing my other rook in. He has to go over. Checkmate. Okay, we got in a bunch of games. 3 different checkmates. That's exciting. We keep climbing. Submit your rapid games, guys. Good luck in your climb.